Hello and welcome to London Real. My name is Brian Rose. With me is my partner in crime, Mr. Nick Gabriel. And Nick, who did you bring in today?
Oh, dude, we are in for such a treat today. This is, I can say unreservedly, this is one of the coolest guys I know.
Wow. No pressure.
His name is Clay O'Shea. And when I started working in a jiu-jitsu gym about 8-9 years ago when I first arrived in this country, Clay was running a boxing gym within the facility, and
I know it.
Yeah,
I used to hear him in there.
Yeah, exactly.
See, the doors always closed, right?
Yeah.
You do jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
You still do it?
Yeah, not as much as I used to, but yeah, Nick gave me a purple belt for some reason. Don't know why.
Powerful.
So just a little bit of about Clay for those of you who are interested. Clay was originally a boxer. He fought for the British title.
I eliminated for the British title. Go on. Sorry.
Okay.
When was that? What year was that?
Wasn't that good. That was back in 95.
95,
Yeah,
okay.
many years ago. I fought for a title called the Southern Area title, and the winner got to fight for the British title.
Okay.
And the guy who beat me went on to win a British title and fight for a European title.
Wow.
I wasn't in that league, which I found out, it's all different leagues in any sport.
Okay. I mean, league is in like level of skill.
It all depends what draw you're in, and the guy I fought was a couple of draws above me, and he went on to fight for the championship and won it, and he moved on and I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you box after that?
No, that was my last fight.
Okay.
I was finished sitting in the dressing room downstairs before the fight, really.
Really?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Can you explain that?
Well, it's weird because the dressing room, my dad always told me it's the loneliest place in the world if you're a loser, right? And he was right, his words come true. I trained for the fight. I'm not making that excuse because so many people make excuses. I don't want to do that. I just want to tell the truth. But as hard as I trained, I just couldn't get fit. My trainer was on his deathbed. He died 2 weeks later, my trainer. So I trained on my own for that fight. I had no trainer.
Wow.
And even running at 4 a.m. hard, I just was tired. I couldn't get fit for some reason. It's funny because the two fights before that I was in great shape, and for this one it's just I never clicked. And I remember the night before the fight, I was doing some light jogging just to get the cobwebs out, and I'd already lost it,
It's interesting. You could tell already that the fitness wasn't there.
Well, I knew the guy I was fighting was very good as well. Okay. And tell you the truth, I wasn't meant to be that champion. Okay. I wasn't meant to. I didn't believe, and if you don't believe, then that's a few rounds against you. I never really believed in myself, as a fighter.
Nick said something to me recently about that because you've competed in a lot of places, and you said it's all mental when it comes down.
It's
at that point.
Mental. It's all mental. There's something I said to. I remember it was before a jiu-jitsu competition once, and it was a mutual friend of Clay's and mine, a guy called Steve. We were both in the warm-up area, which was like a bunch of mats behind where the spectators were sitting, and I just looked at him and I could see he was going through the same thing I was going through, and I said to him, it's a feeling only a fighter can know, dude. No one else can know that feeling. It's the loneliest place in the world.
It's the loneliest place in the world. An old friend of my dad said a fighter who's got no self-belief is like a carpenter who's allergic to sawdust, mate. It's never gonna work. And I never believed in myself. I was a decent boxer.
Why do you think that is, though, when you say you never believe in yourself?
Well, I can remember from a young kid when I started boxing at 7 years old, I had a little bit of talent. I had a bit of rhythm. I had rhythm going for me. I could box a bit. I had a good jab. And all I ever wanted to do was please my dad. That's the truth. I only ever wanted to please my dad.
And that's why you boxed? Or did a lot of things?
It was a massive, massive part of it. And I don't hold that against my dad. I don't because I used to love to please my dad. I remember when I turned pro, I was pro with Mickey Duff and Mancini, the top boys in the game. And, all the American fighters used to come over because I was training with all the greatest athletes and that. And none of them mattered. It was just my dad I wanted to please, and I felt it was the closest thing I ever felt. It was love. You know what I mean? Pleasing my dad was love for me, and he died, he died in 1990, and I kept fighting, but
what motivated you was just gone, right? The fire was.
Well,
gone.
I had no motivation whatsoever. Yeah. You know, I really didn't understand why I was doing it. And there's some things in life we do, we just don't know why.
Yeah.
You know,
I think so.
Something that I don't know if we spoke about this before. I think we did once, Brian. But like my whole life as well, for a long time, for the longest time, everything was to try to get my dad's approval. And the funniest thing is, by the time he was ready to give it to me, I didn't want it anymore.
Wow.
It was the craziest thing, dude.
That is the craziest thing. Do you think you can be a competitive fighter when you're trying to do it for the wrong reasons? Or do you think you can be a champion if that champion always wanted to do it for his father?
Personally, I feel some of us are blessed with more talent than others.
Okay.
You know, there's a guy who's a sparrer called Curtin Lang, called the Gifted One, and he used to train on a bottle of whiskey. That's what he used to train on. And he used to smoke like joints like they were going out of fashion. He was a Jamaican guy, and he beat Roberto Duran back in the 80s. Roberto Duran, arguably one of the greatest fighters of all time. But he had that much talent where he did become a champion. I wasn't.
Right.
I didn't have that much talent, you know. So some people can become. Some people are more blessed than others with skill.
That's interesting.
You know, all different sorts of skills. But in boxing, even if you don't really want it, you might just have that much talent that you can see you through.
You can do it. You know, Oscar de la Hoya came out recently after he had those pictures that he took with all these prostitutes where he was dressed up in their clothes, and turns out he had a huge cocaine habit and a drinking habit. He said there was times he would do a shot of tequila before he went to the ring.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, and
just
this is
to calm his nerves.
Yeah, this is a professional athlete, and nobody knew except his wife.
And he was the golden boy. Hey.
Yeah, I mean, he was the golden boy, the perfect boy, the everything boy, and then these
all-American boy, weren't he?
And these pictures came
Mexican,
out of him like dressed up in underwear. And he's like, oh, those have been photoshopped. And then apparently he was paying millions of dollars to these prostitutes that he had hung out with that night to keep them quiet. 2 years later, he came out and said, it's true. I'd taken all these pictures. And you're like a professional athlete. You'd never believe it.
Yeah, I wonder why. I have a few theories on it, but like you see so many fighters in all like combat sport disciplines, like they have an appetite for self-destruction, eh?
I mean,
interesting thing.
A good fighter, just like you see, even a good comedian, you say that there's something wrong. You look at their childhood. Very rarely did they have a normal childhood. Usually, something happened where they're searching for something, or trying to please someone, or trying to fill a gap, or even performers. I mean, look at people like Madonna.
There's always a
and
reason.
Elvis.
There's always a reason.
Right?
There's always a reason. And mine was pleasing my dad. I just. You know, now, I mean, he's been dead 22 years. I'm 45 years old now, and I only feel that I've just grown up at 45.
Wow.
I really do, and
wow,
I was starting to grow up.
Did you still want to please him after he died? I mean, was it because your dad can see this and this is for him?
I'm just figuring out our relationship right now, what we had. You know, I was 23 when he died, and you know, like most young men at 23, you don't really. Well, I didn't want to listen to my dad. I didn't want to listen to my mum, you know. And I'm old enough and ugly enough now to realise that I want to listen to them, like, you know. And all the things they said to me, most of them are true. Interesting. You know.
Interesting. You know, it's interesting that you're actually trying to deal with this and recognize this, and because it's something that Nick talks about all the time. And I think a lot of people are just going through their life without reflecting on themselves and thinking, well, why am I doing this? Or what? Or is it based on a relationship with a parent? And,
you know that
it's important.
Mark Twain quote. When I was 14, my dad was so ignorant I couldn't stand to have him around. But when I turned 21, I was astonished to see how much he had learned in 7 years. It's one of my favorites, man. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good. And, you know, I was talking to my dad actually recently, and I am lucky that he's 8 hours away in California, and I can pick up the phone to him. And I do recognize how lucky I am that I can just have a conversation with him, because I know I won't always be able to. But he said something about Nick, and he really what he likes about Nick is that he's like, here's a man who's 32, but who's questioning all sorts of things about his life. You know, he's looking at, okay, wait, is there a better way, or should I be thinking of it this way, or is this because of that? And he just found that interesting, because a lot of people don't look at themselves or look at their relationships with their parents and try to figure out why they did what they did. I
think in life, one of the most important things is honesty, and the person you've got to be honest with is yourself. You know, because you can be honest with people, but we lie to ourselves so much, and until we stop lying about the things that we usually sweep under the carpet and deal with them, we'll always be frustrated, I think. This is only my personal opinion. I can only say from my life, you know.
Is there anything that you lied to yourself about, or that you have lied to yourself about in the past that you could share with us, and like an example that you could give to us, that you'd be comfortable sharing with us?
And how did you realize that too?
Well, kind of maybe like Nick, I'm on a self-improvement mission now, like, you know, and I just do it on a day-to-day basis. For instance, right, I had a really rocky relationship with my mum. My mum was and is the most amazing woman, but hard love she showed me, hard. Everything was, you know, if I smoked, if I took drugs, you know, I went for a period when I took drugs for 3 years, like not most children, but a lot of children. You know, I was living on a council estate. I was running with a gang. And next thing I found myself do was smoking weed, you know. And instead of my mum sitting me down, she said I was bad. You're bad. So, you know, it was like everything, you're bad this, you're bad that. But I realised that my mum had a really hard upbringing, you know, and I think her parents were really hard on her. So she was only relaying to me what they relay to her. Mm. So I got it in the neck for everything. But which I'm really interested in now, my mum's got Alzheimer's. Dementia, and she's been diagnosed for the last 2 years, and I can quite honestly say that everything I ever prayed for I have with my mum now, even though she's so ill, because all the barriers have been broken down.
Jesus,
it's just the most beautiful. It's supernatural. When I look back, because I didn't know nothing about Alzheimer's, you know, I'm not that clever, and she started doing crazy stuff, and I thought she was just being horrible to me, not as usual, but some of the stuff she was doing, it was kind of like, oh, mum's doing it again. But then she started, you know, I think the first time I noticed that something was really wrong, I told her to close my window of the car, and I went back out, and the wind, it wasn't an electric window, it was a windy window, and it was broken. And then I bought her a Dyson Hoover, and there was stuff stuck up the Hoover that was just crazy. And I thought, why are you doing this to me, Mum? Why would you ruin something beautiful that I bought you? But I didn't know she was starting to become ill, and she started to become ill now when I look at it when my dad died, because they were so close. And you know, when you share a bed with someone for 40 years, you know, she never went to bed again. She slept on the settee, like, you know, since the day he died, she never went to bed again. And
that's over 20 years ago. Yeah,
she got lonely, and she become withdrawn into herself, you know.
How close? I mean, were they super close, your mum and dad?
If one day, hopefully, if my marriage is half as good as theirs, mate, I'll be a happy man. You know, I was brought up, you know, my mum was hard love, but I got no bad memories there, mate. Yeah. Me personally, my mum would have died for me, and she would still die for me. And my dad was just an angel. Just an angel. My mum used to say about my dad, it's hard living with an angel, because he was an angel. He died from cancer of the esophagus, a terrible, painful death. But anyway,
well, what's its dementia like right now with your mom? I mean, does she know who you are?
Yeah, she knows who I am.
Okay. I just watched The Iron Lady recently, and there's a lot of dementia in her. Margaret Thatcher. Matter of fact, half the movie she's demented, and she's doing flashbacks. But she seems to know certain things and not know certain things. Like, she sees her husband that's dead, but she kind of knows that he's not there too. So it's a weird thing. Yeah. And I was wondering if you could explain.
What I've learned about dementia, is Alzheimer's, because most of the people on my mum, because she's in a home now, she can't go home. She's too unwell to go home, so it's too dangerous. Because the house we grew up in, it's got three levels, you know, 4 flights of stairs, and it's a death trap. Okay. You know, and the gas she leaves on and stuff like that. Wow. So and she was dying on the settee. Really, she wanted to die 2 years ago. She had gastroenteritis, she had gallstones, she had blood poisoning, she had urine infection. And she didn't want no doctors to come and see her. She wanted to die. She'd give up. Okay. And because my mum had a lot of power over me and my sister, we didn't know how to deal with it, you know? We did not know how to, anyway, in the end, we called the paramedics. It's the only thing that saved her. And that night in hospital, I thought I was talking to mum for the last time. But I prayed so hard, like I've never prayed before. And 9 weeks later, she come through it. She come through it, mate. And
And now what is it like when you deal with her?
Well, for the first year in her home, not so much it was war, because, for instance, if someone's got dementia, and remember this, right, more importantly, there's a good chance it's in the post for all of us.
Yeah, I know.
Right? We're all young and in our prime, and we're feeling good, but there's a good chance it could be for all of us. So I'm dealing with it in a way that there's a good chance that one day I'll be sitting there, in this home.
Right.
It's just reality, and reality hurts sometimes, and you got to look for the future, but you have to live. You have to enjoy it every day as it comes, mate, because these are the good times. I know the good times is to come, but this right now is the good time. Me travelling to this place on the tube, looking around me at the people, they're the good times, mate, and we're all searching for something, but what it is here and now,
Yeah, it's something Nick talks about a lot, the power of now. And I try to recognize presence all the time when I'm just with some great people doing some great things. Like now, this is a great moment. But as humans in the Western world, we're always thinking, yeah, but it's going to be better next month or next week, right? When I get this, when I get that, or,
No, so, the people in my mum's home, there's 20 people on the floor now. She's on the second floor, and they're 20 of my best friends now. All these people with dementia, I've fallen in love with them, mate, And beforehand, when I had to go there, I was like, I can't take it no more. But can I say something? This is what the point I'm trying to get to is that they're so ill, and most of the people that are sitting around, I look at them, and some of the women, you could tell they were just unbelievably beautiful in their day, and the guys, big strong men, and they're sitting around rocking in chairs now, messing themselves. And a year ago, it was not mayhem in there, but when someone dementia mislays something, the first thing they'll do, because they get frustrated, they blame the other person for stealing it.
Right.
And there's war.
Okay.
And everybody's warring. There's Zimmer frames going up all over the place, it's like
what
battlefield.
Going up? Zimmer frames?
Frames that
the old age pensioner.
Yeah.
Bim bimmer, where's my Zimmer? That's what I'm saying now. They're all rattling around on their Zimmer frames, but let me tell you this, right? And whether you believe me or not, there's something supernatural happened in that place, mate. Because there's peace now. There's peace.
Amongst all of them.
Amongst all of them. Where there was fighting, there's love. Where there was unfriendship, there was friendship. And I'm reading a book called Contented Dementia. And this guy, Oliver James, who wrote it, is quite a controversial writer. And he says it as it is. But loads of the stuff that he's saying, I've already applied to my relationship with my mum and the people around her. It's like, for instance, if my mum says to me, when's Nanny coming to pick me up? Instead of me saying, Nanny's dead, Mum, you got to live in their world because it's their world and they're never going to change. So instead of going, well, Nanny might come a little bit later, and if you don't frustrate them, then your relationship runs smooth. Right. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Instead of... our latest one is I'm never coming to this holiday camp again, right? And like, instead of me going, Mum, you're not in holiday camp. Oh, this holiday camp ain't all that, is it? And all of a sudden, your conversation's flowing. Wow. And you have to live in their world. And it's a beautiful world because it's the world they're in. And if you don't...
That's so cool.
If you don't frustrate... If you don't put... Because that long-term memory, back in the day, stays there.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But short-term memory is gone, and it will never come back. Yeah. And it will frustrate you if you say, no, Mum. That just makes them go, yeah, but... there's a guy in there, he attacked a night porter the other night, and see, he got put in there, and as a young man, he was in the army, and he's only just been put in there, but he saw a night porter, so someone's breaking in his house. Okay. So everybody going, why have you attacked someone? But he's a proud man. So in his mind, he's still at home. Yes. And this guy's walked in, who are you? Get out of my house. So these are all the stuff you've got to understand.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You can't beat them up for wandering. You can't beat them up for doing stuff like that. Because
there's a...
Wow.
I really appreciated that point about... it's kind of like in any conversation, if... you guys, I'm sure, have met people who you just can't interact with because they're so intent on proving themselves right, or so intent on being right or creating an argument and like getting the upper hand in a conversation.
Sometimes, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. A very a good friend of mine said to me the other day. He was like, I was talking about the relationship with my father, right? And he said to me that the conversations you have with people are the relationship, right? So that's a very good barometer of any relationship, is look at the conversations you have with people. You know, for me, it's like when I call my dad, it's like, hey, Dad, how you doing? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm like, yeah, so what's been happening? He's like, everything's fine. And I'm like, yeah, how's work going? Fine. Okay, Pops, I'll speak to you later, right? So our relationship is like, we don't really have a relationship, right?
Okay.
And when you speak about I mean, just hearing what you said at the beginning of the show, just the fact that you and your dad have relationships of that depth means that conversations of that depth mean you have relationships, a deep relationship.
Yeah, I guess
and
that's
like
true.
Clay, talking to his mom, like he can still converse with her, and using the skill he's learned from this book, or he's just learned being around her, he actually is still able to maintain that relationship, right?
And you say it's a better relationship now, or you're getting to know her better?
Everything, mate. I'll tell you, mate. It's the love. It's mind-blowing, mate. It's a love that I've never felt before. It's like, as I said before, even though my mum was hard, she would have died for me. And people say, oh, you go and see your mum so much. But I'm only doing what I've got to do because that woman would have given her life for me.
And you're enjoying it as well, right?
I've never grown up in the... I've grown so much up in the last 2 years as a man, dealing with my mum's illness.
Wow.
So you say that you've grown up so much, but... what were the childish ways that you've grown up from?
Good question. I feel that most of the things I thought I wanted in my life are not really what I need in my life. Like all that glitters isn't gold, mate. You know, for me personally.
You said that to me the other day, actually.
Yeah, for me, it's all right having things that cost money, but it's good not to lose the things that don't cost money. And I'm looking at having things in my life. It's all right being happy when everything's going your way, but I'm trying to be happy when things ain't going my way. And that, to me, that's the true measure, because most of the time things don't go your way on what we want, you know? But I'm putting my trust in God, and that's what I'm doing. And I know His plan for me is right for me. And my plan for myself usually ends up in frustration. And, you know, that's my personal opinion. I can only speak for myself.
How do you know His plan for you? Do you hear Him speaking to you?
No, not at all. It's just, I can't explain, mate. And I'm not here to preach to anybody. I can only feel the way I feel. And I just want to live a righteous life. And most of the time, a lot of the time I don't. You know, I get angry. You know, I trash talk. You know, I probably swear too much.
Yeah, you can't be a grumpy motherfucker, dude.
Yeah. Oh, you can swear on it then, yeah?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
cool.
You know, it's interesting when you talk about that and you've made like 20 new friends, or you know these people at this restaurant. It's just strange how you can form a relationship with people that you never would have thought you would have had. You know, when you look at their life, a lot of people think, I need a good girlfriend, I need a couple mates. And those are the relationships that are important to you. But like, I've been spending a lot of time with my girlfriend's daughter, and she's 7. And like, a relationship with her is like, it rounds me out as a person, you know, and I can take her to the science museum and I'll have much more fun than if I went to the science museum with you, you know, or with her mom, or like I'll have a conversation with my dad for 2 hours and we'll talk politics in San Diego, and he's 69, and I can't have that conversation with you. Mm-hmm. And it's like all these people like round out me as a human, and like you have these different relationships, and now you have a relationship with your mom, even though she's demented. It's still
for the last 2 years,
I've
got the relationship I've always wanted with her.
That's crazy.
I've always wanted, I've always yearned. Yearn is a good word. I've always yearned for the relationship now. And the thing is, right, my sister might see this, but me and my sister never spoke for 10 years over something ridiculous. I mean, just bullshit, family stuff.
Yeah.
And the whole family, I used to pray, right, because my aunts were at war with my mum, and my mum was at war with me, and my sister was at war with my aunts. And like, when we were kids, when I was a kid growing up, Christmas time and holiday time was the most special time. It's the best memories I've ever had. Christmas time, we'd all jump around the same house, 20 people in the same house for 10 days, you know, and we'd have dinner every day and sleep on the floors, and it was family. And my dad died, and it all ended over something ridiculous. I'm not even going to go what it was into. I'm not going to tell you. It was just ridiculous. And it was so bad, the feeling in my family. Even when I was praying, I never believed that we could come back together as a family. And not only have we come back together as a family, it's like I've got more than I prayed for, mate. I got more than I prayed for, because now me and my sister are like kids again, you know, just loving each other, you know, more than I can't explain the love in my family. It's just supernatural, mate. And for me right now in my life, you know, I haven't got a girlfriend, but this love that I'm feeling is teaching me how to love. Mm-hmm. And for me right now, that's the right love for me.
Wow.
You know,
it's interesting to hear you're still growing at 45 and you're figuring yourself out at 45, you know?
Yeah, well, maybe it never stops. I don't know.
Maybe so.
DeMartini speaks about like combining those 2 points. He does this thing, and by the way, DeMartini's a spiritual teacher, John F. DeMartini. If you want to look up his stuff, he's very cool. He does this process with people called the breakthrough experience, where let's say someone has a loved one that's died, and he takes them through a process of illuminating and showing them where everything that they thought they could only get from that person is being given to them in some way from the other people around them. So exactly what Clay's just said now, you know, like he doesn't have a girlfriend at the moment, but he's getting what he needs from, you know, the other people in his life, that kind of nurturing or that energy. And I find that quite interesting.
Wow, that's really
I think
stuff.
the reason, maybe I was looking for the wrong things in women, you know?
What were you looking for in them?
Well, good question.
Maybe you're looking for your mom's love.
Yeah, no girl was ever good enough for me in my mum's eyes, you know. So but I don't know. This is public, you know what I mean. But sex, I feel, me personally, again, without love, is not the plan for me. For me personally, because I'm experiencing love in a beautiful way, and I want to experience that sort of love. Maybe obviously it's a different sort of love, but I want to experience that love with my partner. Mm-hmm. And I don't want it to be based on stuff that the world makes you believe is right. I just...
It's well said.
Powerful.
Yeah, very powerful.
You know, there's so many images that, you know, listen, lust, greed, money, this, that, it promises everything, but most of the time delivers little.
Wow.
It delivers little,
Wow.
you know.
Wow. So can I ask you what you're doing now? I know you stopped boxing, and we spoke earlier before we started the podcast. You said you had some airtime on The Apprentice with Alan Sugar. I was just wondering how that happened. And you said you do some design work, because, you know, which coming from a boxer, I was surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I love being creative, mate. That's when I'm creative. I'm not worried about money. I'm just in my little world, like, you know.
It's a great feeling.
Yeah, it doesn't. The actual
Feeling it right now, huh?
Yeah, I'm feeling it with this whole. Yeah, I am feeling it now. Yeah, it's unlike any other feeling.
Yeah, you want to embrace that feeling, mate. It's all about embracing stuff in life, you know. And if you can embrace that feeling, understand what makes you spiritually, physically, mentally content, you know, we need to be in that place more often, you know. And we might find it in places where you never thought we'd find it, you know. Because if you can take the feeling now to a day when nothing's going your way and still feel like that, surely that's one of the meanings of life. Again, my idea.
Okay, and what do you create?
Contentment, right?
What do I create? Well, when I design, I like to design simple stuff. Because I still got my gym over in Notting Hill, and my actual way I train people is simple. I don't try to be too flashy, you know, with the moves and stuff like. I feel that a good foundation is the basis of everything that's worthwhile. And so when I designed a dog lead that I split up with my girlfriend, and I was walking my dog, and we used to walk the dog together. And I thought, oh man, I was gutted. I wish she was still here. And I designed a dog lead that 2 people can hold at the same time. So you hold your dog. And so you can hold hands and then hold one part of the lead each.
Okay.
So it's called I've invented it, the lover's lead. Walking your dog will never be the same again. How can love be wrong? and also, what's good about
That's
that?
crazy.
Yeah. What's good about it is that a mother with small children. So if they got Roger the Rottweiler and he's too big and the kid gets pulled off through the park, now the kid can hold it and the mum can keep her eye on him and the kid can feel independent, like, you know.
Okay. Are you a big believer of walking dogs?
Yeah, well, it's therapy, man.
Do you know the dog whisperer? Cesar Milan.
Cesar
Amazing dude, right?
Milan, yeah, he's
Amazing. He says
dude.
the walk is so important for the dog because you're mentally testing the dog to stay with you, to stay behind you, and it's just a whole mental test. Not to mention exercise or anything. And once he does that, it's kind of a reward to him. Everything else. That's why he's like, you have to walk your dog every day.
It's for me. I lost my dog a couple of years ago, and it was therapy for me.
Really?
You know, Regent's Park, round the pond, and just meeting people and just smelling the flowers along the way. Like, you know, it's a good time to be creative when you're on.
Man, I wanted to ask you because I know you love that dog like nothing else. I mean, so just for those of you who don't know, in Clay's boxing gym, he's now got like a cast iron memorial bust of the dog.
Wow,
like
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Why did you? I always think about this. Why haven't you got another dog?
Because me personally, if I got a dog, it's the commitment, mate. Right now, I'm not so much I'm free of the commitment because if I got a dog tomorrow, I'd be the same. But right now, I'm doing stuff that if I was doing it, I wouldn't be giving the time to my dog.
And dog needs time, doesn't it?
It's a 24-hour, 7 days a week.
It is. You got to be a good pack leader. I watch dogs all the time, and I can see who's a bad pack leader and who's a good pack leader, and you can tell. I mean, some people walking the dog, and the dog's dragging them along, and then some people have the dog walking right next to him, like Cesar is supposed to do. Yeah. I practice dog training on any dog I see. My dad's dog, and I'll just try to make him behave and all that stuff. It's fascinating, though.
A dog is the only thing that loves you more than it loves itself, mate.
It's truly man's best friend.
You know something interesting? If you're, I read this the other day. If you have a cat, right? If you have a cat or a dog and you fall over in your apartment and die, right? They'll start eating you. Okay, but get this. This is a crazy thing.
Yeah.
The dog will never eat your hands or your face, but the cat will.
Really?
How fucked up is that, right?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, the dog's a pack animal, just like a horse, so it has a pack mentality. But cat isn't. The cat's a loner and stuff. So
they're kind of like. The cat's like that, and the dog just wants to please.
I like them both. So, did you meet Alan Sugar?
I never met Alan Sugar, no, but I met his Margaret and Nick.
Oh, his
it's quite a good story because, as I say, I went into a competition and I got through to the last 12, and then the last 12 went up to Manchester, and we filmed it, and I was sitting in the green room with our 12 designers ready to go down to be filmed. And there was this guy sitting there, and he had a wall for this design and all these medals. People, I've designed this, I've done that. I've got a little dog lead in the bag, ain't I? Oh, this creation, the technical, and the numbers after the names and the letters, and I'm sitting there like, oh, please, I'm sticking it down I don't want no one to see it.
What were the other designs like?
Oh, it was just nutty stuff,
like a brain or something.
I was too nervous to worry about anybody else but myself. Like I just kept my head down with my little dog lead in my bag, and they're talking about this and talking about that. And when we done to this award, and you know the association of this and that, I'm like, oh, just get this over, get me out of here, man. I want to get home. So the guy sitting next to me, I remember what he invented. He invented a new wheelbarrow handle that's this and it's that, and like, oh, well done, mate. Even if I didn't like it, I wouldn't say like that's a load of bollocks. You know what I mean? So. Boom, he's sitting there. So what have you designed? So I'm like, you're a dog lead. It's what? I want you a dog lead. Well, let me see this dog lead. I'm like, oh, really? All right. Anyway, I pulled it out, and he goes, good luck, mate. You're going to need it. So I'm like, oh, thanks, mate. That'll make me feel better.
What a douchebag.
Yeah, just... Anyway, not good.
Did you have to go and pitch like your business idea to these people?
So, boom, I go downstairs. You go in one. You got 10 minutes with one team.
Okay.
And then you go through, and then you got 10 minutes with the other team. And I go in the room, and I'm not good at maths. I'm not a clever person, right? I'm stupid by nature. And they're hitting me with the maths. So if you sold this one, how much net price? And I'm like, oh, please, I'm just making it up as I'm going along.
Because they want a business model,
They want the business plan.
They don't want the invention. They want the business plan.
Yeah, of course. I'm a designer, not a mathematician. You know what I mean? So then they asked me about the lead, and then it comes naturally. And they said something to me, and I went, boom, 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 and I said it, and they all started laughing, and I had to cut. They was laughing so much, they had to cut. I can't remember what I said, and I looked down at Margaret. You know Margaret, the old biddy?
I think I know her, yeah. I don't watch the
show
very much.
Iron Face.
I can't stand Alan Sugar.
Well, Margaret, one of his henchmen, she looks like, I'm not going to say it, Margaret Thatcher type, right?
Yeah. Okay.
She's laughing. She's smiling. And I'm like, I've got these in my head. I've got them where I want them. So now I start hitting them with the jokes and messing around, blah, 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 blah. Go out there, do the next pitch in the other room, and I'm buzzing, ain't I? So they said, go to a part of the hotel, and we'll call you whether you got picked or not. So I go 2 hours there, get a phone call, they picked you. They picked your lead. You're going to be on the show.
Oh, shit.
So I'm like, praise God, man, I can't believe it. I'm buzzing. So that's it now. That's all they want of me. I go out, and as I walk out, the fella with a wheelbarrow is wheeling his wheelbarrow past in the foyer. And I'm like, I'm not letting you get off with this, mate.
Yeah.
Like that. So he's like that. I could hear the creak. And I got him. He's walked straight past. I went, here, mate, guess what? He went, what? I goes, I got through. He went, what? I goes, yeah, thanks for wishing me good luck, mate. You've helped me out. And he chinned it the floor like that. It was like, I went,
Awesome. That's so cool.
Did he make it or not?
did he?
You know, it's hysterical about,
He didn't.
about
No.
Clay. So when I was teaching in the gym in Notting Hill,
Yeah.
the jiu-jitsu mat, you know what it's like. The jiu-jitsu mat is separate to the boxing ring. The boxing ring's behind walls, so you can't see what's going on in there.
There's an open ceiling, right? So you can hear.
Yeah, but you can hear. And like, it's the one thing I miss about that gym, Clay, is listening to you. So I'd be teaching a lesson in jiu-jitsu, and you'd just hear Clay verbally abusing his clients. But the thing is, these clients aren't chumps. These are like, a lot of them are hugely successful in a whole bunch of different fields. And I think they secretly love coming to Clay to get like a taste of their own medicine.
Yeah,
right?
it's most of it, honestly, it's tongue in cheek. It's never...
What's an example of what? Because I used to hear you have the music cranking in there as well.
Yeah, I'd like nice play good tunes, like, you know.
So how do you instruct? What's Nick talking about?
Just hoot and holler, mate. Hoot. Because I'm so unhappy in there, and it's my, you know,
Why are you unhappy in there?
because it's that gym. I've been in that gym since I was 8 years old. Them bags creaking, like, you know, it's my bones creaking. You know, people are still punching me. I used to get beat up when I was a fighter to the head. Now I get beat up mentally and
And your shoulders are
mate,
from holding pads.
It's too much for me.
So it's
And
just business.
I kind of, it's 100%, but I still want to give my people a good product, mate. If they're paying the money, VFM, I call it, value for money. They get their value for money, mate. And I wouldn't cheat anybody, and I'll still give my all, just because I'm delivering a product to the people. Yeah. See, I wasn't the greatest fighter, but what I did do, I trained with the greatest fighters. And usually great people ain't great trainers.
Yeah,
because they're too busy being great.
Yeah.
And they're quite selfish people, because usually great people are selfish because they have to be in this world. To me, I was looking, oh, what's he doing? Oh, what's he doing? And it was indoctrinated into me, all these great athletes doing great stuff. So that's why I'm a decent trainer, because I see the best do what they do.
I've trained with some like top name MMA fighters, and they're not always the best trainers. They can't always explain to you why they're so good. You know, they're good, but they can't exactly teach you to be good sometimes.
No,
I want to
what
hear a
they got
story
is
about
natural.
an example of Clay's method, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was working together with Clay for a short while, and there were some of my personal training clients that I took to his gym, right, one day, and they joined in a group box fit session with Clay and myself, right? And one of these women was this American girl called Nicole, right? Like a bit of a Jewish princess type.
Okay.
And so when you train with Clay,
Is that John's missus?
no, dude, it was that Susie. Remember, Susie used to bring her
So what
staff
happened?
So anyway, so when you're in Clay's room, you do what he says. It's his way or the highway, right? So I don't think she'd ever experienced anything like this, and he gave some issue, like some command, and she just like stood there like staring at him, like she couldn't understand what he had said, maybe because of his accent or whatever. And so Clay just walks up to her and he goes, "You're like a deer in the headlights."
Oh my, yeah, that's it.
And she was like,
A rabbit in the
"A
headlights.
rabbit in the
I said.
headlights." So she was like, "What did you say to me?" And then
She ran out in the street with her boxing gloves.
Yeah, so Clay said, "Get down and give me 10 push-ups." And she was like, "Fuck that shit, no one speaks to me like that." And she stormed right out. And Clay and I just looked at each other. We didn't know what to say. It was hysterical, man.
Did she come back?
No.
No, that was it?
No one ever heard of her again.
No. All it is, I just want people to...
So what's your method?
Look, do you know what my method is, right? And because I'm so angst in there and angry and frustrated, yeah, I agree. Maybe I do take it out on my clients, but the way I see it, a lot of them have high-powered jobs and are in situations where if I can give them shit and they can deal with my shit, they can deal with life shit. And I try and give them the armour to deal with life. because a lot of the time they'd be sitting in meetings and people would be giving them shit. And if they can't deal with it in my gym, they'll find it hard to deal with it out there. Because if you're going to fight or you're going to run a marathon, you got to do the training. And if you're in a high-powered job making big decisions under pressure, you got to take my stuff under pressure. And it ain't for everybody. There's no contract in my gym. There's no contract. If you don't want to come, don't come. You know what I mean?
You yell at everybody, or you just yell at the
No,
slackers?
some people don't need yelling at.
Okay.
Listen, people in the gym, it's like life. Some people need a hug. Some people need to be shouted at. Some people you don't even know they're there. Some people just get on with it. Some people you have to shout at. It's just the way it is, isn't it?
Okay. As you do group classes in there?
Yeah.
Always group classes.
Why, you thinking of coming?
Maybe. I've heard you. Every time I went to Nick, I heard you in there. I must have heard you 100 times. Just never saw you because you always keep that damn door shut.
I'm a secretive person.
You
mate.
are, and you don't socialize outside of it.
No.
I thought there was like some crazy Latino dude in there cranking that. You got some crazy music.
Yeah.
It's not like you playing country music in there.
I like all music. I see myself as a bit of a rapper anyway.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah?
He can rap, man. He can
Really?
Rap properly,
Yeah.
Do you write down your rhymes?
don't
Or
need
you like,
to. I
you
can
like Jay-Z? You keep it in your head?
I can keep it in my head, yeah. I like poetry. See, I love poetry. So I was brought up with Jamaicans.
Okay.
So my next door neighbour was from Jamaica and one from Barbados. So I was brought up on reggae music.
Okay. Gotcha.
Do
That's
you want me to
crazy.
say-
Yeah. Drop a rhyme.
Okay. When I was a kid growing up in London, my next door neighbour was from the Caribbean. Said them might teach me how some things are gone. That's why me love the reggae sensation. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to hold you all in my arms and keep you company. Now if you beautiful people just love my style and you're feeling my energy, just clap up your hands and stamp your feet. Yes, my name is Quality, I'm the real thing. I keep you rocking and swing, balang, diddly dong skeng. Now a plane can never fly without an engine, and a bird can fly with just one wing. Because Jesus are my father, say him are my king. Him a teach me how to chat around the mic system. Watch out, Mr. Quality, just a ride the rhythm, and Quality just a ride the rhythm. Because if you like to listen good music, crowd up. Listen, I can nicer dance, nicer party. I can keep a man and woman lively. Say tra la 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 la. Listen, come bubble for me. Come bubble for me. We bubbling, yes, we bubbling, Lina. Them style I bring, I keep you rocking and swinger. Musical this, I make you jump and twist.
Wow.
Holy shit.
45 years old.
And he was the most nervous guest you ever had.
Oh my god. Is that all yours?
Yeah, of course it is.
When did you write that?
Just every day I'm writing lyrics, mate.
Man, that's
in my
crazy.
That's cool.
Do you record any of this stuff?
head. No.
Never?
No.
Never.
No.
Okay, you should. Man, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's crazy.
Oh.
I told you this dude was going to be fun.
Where did you grow up? Whereabouts?
Finsbury Park.
Finsbury Park.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And what was that like then?
I had the best upbringing, mate.
Okay. So council flat, who cares?
Council estate, gangs in the, the guys, always bigger guys kicking shit out of you, and, you just took it.
Yeah.
And our gang we grew up, and then there was younger ones. It was a brilliant era. Finsbury Park's fantastic. It's where I was born, quite near the Arsenal football ground.
Okay. Yeah, I know that area.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I love it.
You go
Still
back?
love it. Well, my mum's living in Finsbury Park. My mum, her home is where she was born. It's called the Bunk years ago in the war. It's a place called the Bunk, and it was quite a tough area.
Wow.
And she's back there now.
Okay.
All these many years later, yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow.
What do you we asked quite a few of our guests the same question. How do you think London's changed since you grew up?
I love London. Yeah. It's a big question, mate. It's a big question.
It's a big question.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it has changed for... You've stumped me, mate. You've stumped me.
What don't you like about the changes in London, or what's changed for the worse? Do you think?
I'm sorry, I can't answer that question, mate.
Okay.
I really can't answer that
But
question.
you love
Because
London.
I love it, and it's true what Samuel Johnson said. If you're tired of London, you're tired of life, mate. You know.
Try to remind myself of that all the time.
You know, and living in London is just the most amazing place. And you know, I love, you know, my own selfish dream. I want to buy my place in Florida. I love Key West, right? It's my favourite place in the world.
Have you been there, by the way, Brian?
Never to Key West.
Yeah.
No.
Have you been to Florida?
Yeah, I've been to Miami.
You lived in Florida, didn't you?
No, I've been to Miami, which probably isn't Florida. I mean, South Beach in Miami is its own little crazy.
Yeah, I like it right down the bottom.
Is it awesome?
Well, for me it is. You know, I love my fishing, I love my golf, and I love my wildlife, and it's got everything. You know, you've got the Everglades just up the road. You know, you've got the sea there that's just Ernest Hemingway country. Like, you know, he's my favourite author, and
He used to live down there, right?
Who?
Ernest Hemingway.
Ernest Hemingway wrote most of his best stuff down there. Yeah,
You can go to his house and stuff. It's all
it's a
preserved.
museum. Yeah, it's a museum.
He's got cats over there that have like six.
He had
six-
50
six
cats.
paws. Yeah, they have 50 cats, and they have like.
Oh yeah, they had
six paws or
it's
something.
It's a cat that only Key West produced.
It's like an inbred cat
Yeah.
that has like. Yeah.
Like they're yeah, because he's one of his best mates, or really good mate of his, was Picasso.
Okay.
Like, what a time, eh? You know, his mates Picasso, Errol Flynn, David Niven.
Did you see that movie Midnight in Paris, where it's a Woody Allen movie and they go back in time and he meets Ernest Hemingway in Paris?
Was it good?
It was all right. It was interesting.
Woody Harrelson just irritates the hell out of me.
Woody Allen.
Oh, right, sorry, Woody Allen irritates the hell out of me.
Even
I
his
like
movies?
Woody Harrelson, yeah.
Even he's not in this movie.
Yeah, thank God. I
But,
know, dude. He's just like...
Fair enough. But he does make interesting movies.
Yeah, I'll give him that.
Anyways, yeah, what a time that was. It's like Paris and the...
Paris, Cuba,
yeah,
you know,
Cuba.
it's amazing. But I always love coming back to London.
So you like the sun, and you like the fishing, golf.
I love the whole ambience down there, like, you know.
But you couldn't move there permanently.
No, I'll always want to come back to London.
Why?
It's funny because, why?
Yeah.
Because me personally, I feel privileged growing up in this place that we've got it. And I have to say, we've got it so sweet here.
Really?
Got it personally, yeah. You know, what I say, no matter what I go through, the hardest times I'll ever go through will be someone else's best time, mate. That's how sweet we've got it. You know, you go and turn on the tap, it's easy. You go to bed in your radiated room, it's easy. And I thank God for where I was born.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I always think of those people less fortunate than me that are finding it really hard.
So do you like London because of the people, or just because it's a functioning urban metropolis?
I love everything about it.
Okay.
I love everything about it, you know. Yeah, I do.
Dude, I've got to be honest, like, I do love London, but the winter started to get to me the last
Really?
couple of weeks.
You've always hated the winters, Nick. I
Dude, it
remember.
started to get, yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, then I think, okay, we had one day of snow. I mean, it's not that bad. It's 0 degrees. It's not minus 20 where it is in
It's not the snow,
Bulgaria.
it's the grey, dude.
The grey, I know. The
just
grey
wanna
gets me
see
too
this.
sometimes.
It feels like the sky's on top of my head, you know?
I know, and I get that feeling sometimes too. And I'm like, it's gray. And I mean, I live in Shoreditch, and it's like Old Street Roundabout isn't exactly an architecturally stimulating place. You know, it's like a big roundabout, and like.
But at the end of the day, we've got our fingers on the pulse of the universe, man.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. You know, and so London, you know, is good and bad. I mean,
But
I've been here 10 years.
Where else could we meet a dude like this?
Nowhere. Key West, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's where my dreams are.
So
like,
we should give a shout out to Alpha Brain, huh?
Yeah, we should. Our sponsor is Onnit Labs. That's ONNIT, and that's at onnit.com. And you can get Alpha Brain, which is a nootropic to make your brain function a bit better, and also the makers of Shroom Tech, which I've been using for some heavy cardio workouts. It's got the cordyceps mushrooms, and I really like that. Actually, that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So check it out. If you use the code LondonReal when you check out, you get 10% off, and you support the show and pay for the mics.
Also, check out Clay's product, Lover's Lead. Where can we find out more about that? Clay?
yeah, well, you can go online, loverslead.com, and also another one of my products is abspack.com.
That's for doing sit-ups and stuff.
For doing sit-ups,
Abspack.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's quite a cool thing.
And what about if someone wants to find your boxing gym and get yelled at?
I'm not interested.
Oh man.
Yeah. Application.
No new
only,
clients?
yeah.
I'm not interested. I only do enough to pay my rent, mate.
So you don't want anyone bugging you?
For me, I pretend I don't do it. I'm on autopilot.
How many clients do you have?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny. The guy that taught me jiu-jitsu for like 8 years, he trains at the Third Space gym in Piccadilly, and clients come up to him all the time, and they're like, "Can I train with you?" And he's just like, "No." He's like, why don't you take a boxing class for 6 months and come back to me? Or he says, it has to be by referral for someone that trains with me.
Fair enough.
And
That's
these
the way I
people,
like to do it.
they're paying tons of money. It's like one of the most expensive gyms in London. These are obviously these, high-powered
first
people. You
place,
say,
yeah.
and they don't get it. They're like, what are you talking about? I'll pay whatever. I don't care. I'll pay 100, 200 an hour. And then he's like, no, sorry. It's really frustrated.
That's crazy. Dude, that was fun as hell.
Dude, that was good. We still got a few minutes left. So, dude, I mean, you just freestyled for us. You designed dog leads. You fought, professional boxing. I mean, what else? What else you got?
Well, I run a
It's
little.
got a t-shirt company.
Yeah, I
as
do
well.
a little charity. Slang, sending love across nations globally.
How cool is that, right?
Wow, what is that?
It's t-shirts I sell, and I've been doing a little bit of work. I haven't done for the last little bit, but I have done work in the past with Starlight. I work with kids that are terminally ill and really, really ill kids, and we take them out on trips to like the theatre and shows and concerts and stuff. So I sell the t-shirts, and the money I get, I'll take them out. But I really want to build that. That's something where I really want to go. I want to do less on the. I want to give it that away, because if I give it away, then I don't have to worry about the money myself,
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Well, then we can find more about that clothing line at slang.co.uk.
yeah, slangclothing.com. Sending love across nations globally, it's like
SLANG.
cool,
That's cool.
yeah, slang, because slang was my dad weren't a Cockney, but he was Finsbury Park boy, but he taught in Cockney rhyming slang.
Okay.
And so I come up with that. Well, I was lucky to be able to trademark it as it goes. So
That's pretty cool. One thing I wanted to ask you. Do you watch boxing now, or do you watch mixed martial arts, or have you washed your hands of that whole sport?
I watch any sport that's done well.
Okay. Do you watch the UFC? Do you watch mixed martial arts?
If it's on, yeah. If it's on, I'll watch it, yeah, because I think they're amazing athletes, mate.
Me
He's
too.
a great golfer as well, plays with scratch, man.
Really? Wow, that's a game that I find very difficult.
Yeah,
And
golf.
You need to be calm, very calm. Have you ever trained jiu-jitsu, or do you have any interest in that?
I've done a bit of jiu-jitsu, like my best mate Steve, who Nick talks about. And by the way, you did say Fidem Vita Vitari before.
But I couldn't remember the Latin, yeah.
Show your faith by the way you live.
Show your faith by the way you live, man. That's Steve, the guy we're talking about. He always says that.
Oh yeah, show your faith by the way you live.
Yeah,
Your faith
so-
in what?
Faith, like people talk this and they say all the prayers and they sing all the hymns, but
okay.
and they say do this, do that, but you know a tree by its fruits, mate.
Yeah. Show your faith by the way you live.
That's
That's
interesting. So you took a little bit of jiu-jitsu and thought it was interesting?
I did. I'm lazy by nature, mate.
Okay.
My dad was a lazy sod. I'm a lazy sod, and it's hard work, and I'm too lazy to do it. I'm just telling you the truth. And then rolling around, getting pulled about. My body hurts too much. But I do listen. I respect jiu-jitsu, because I tell you what, everybody who does jiu-jitsu is a gentleman, mate.
Yeah, it's
And
funny
if
that
they're
way,
not a
isn't it?
gentleman, they leave a gentleman.
Why is that way? Because you can't say the same about boxing.
Honour. No, boxing gyms are quite high, aggressive, but jiu-jitsu is family.
Yeah, it is.
I find that it's family.
A lot of our guests have been, people that train jiu-jitsu with Nick, or I've met, and we always think we're like, oh, come on, all these guys are cool dudes, and what is it? Is it respect?
I feel with jiu-jitsu, with boxing, someone can get in there and never boxed and have a massive punch, and every time they hit, they hurt. With jiu-jitsu, you have to do the work, mate. Someone who's just walked in, no matter how strong he is, if he's been doing it with someone who's been doing it a year, he won't be able to mess with him.
Yeah, I think the nature of tapping out repeatedly, especially when you're a beginner, just makes you humble because you're just getting owned.
It humbles you.
And you have to.
And I know Roger really well, Roger Gracie, and and his dad. I just think they're amazing people, and I really respect jiu-jitsu. Not for me, but I respect it. In my dreams, I always feel I'm going to start jiu-jitsu next month. I'm going to start jiu-jitsu, but I'm just too lazy, mate.
Fair enough. No, it does take some
You
work.
can't do everything.
At least you're honest
No.
about it, man.
No, I'm just lazy by nature. That's what I am.
Yeah, I find boxing really challenging. I didn't start boxing until I was 31, and then I trained for about 8 years. And I just found it really hard to ever really get into the flow and be competitive in a sparring session, as opposed to jiu-jitsu with that close contact. For some reason, I could compete there, but I found maybe that's got to be too late to even start in boxing, right? I mean, you really have to
Well, it
start
depends
young.
why you're starting boxing. Do you want to have contest, or do you just want to do it to keep yourself in shape? Because boxing training is amazing.
It is.
Training.
Yeah, and I just want to get better.
I don't think you can put any limits to it when you should start something, mate.
As in, you can start it as early as possible.
Start as early as possible and start as late as possible. It all depends where you want to go with it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You know what I mean?
You know, John Jones is the current
Yeah.
light heavyweight champion in the UFC. He's been fighting for like 3 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So he's a natural.
He's natural, and that it's funny because since he doesn't have that classic like boxing training and Muay Thai training, he's really creative. So he just does these really loose way of fighting. You know, he doesn't keep his hands up like a boxer, and he just it's a style that works for him. It's fascinating.
You'll always find you're finding anything in any sport there'll be a people that shine, and we all aspire to.
Yeah, dude, you're one of those people.
Well, I mean, that's a compliment coming from the blonde giant.
The blonde giant.
I remember he was fighting in a competition once. Remember that over in Hackney?
Yeah.
And we was all there, and all these black belts are lined up, and it's coming in the neck. And I've got on that blonde giant like that, and even him, he's just about to fight, and he's burst out pissing himself laughing, and he's just about to start rocking and roll with someone.
Funny, man. It was great.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was great.
You're pretty relaxed when you go into fights, right? I've seen you. You look almost ultra relaxed.
Dude, that fight I was stoned.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's probably why I was so relaxed.
How did that work out for you?
Oh, dude,
You won the first match,
Yeah, I
didn't
won
you?
the first one and lost the second one, but it was interesting, dude. Right?
Wow, that's
Learned a
crazy.
lot
I
about
was so
myself.
proud of you that night, mate.
Thanks, buddy.
I was, mate. I was privileged to see that.
Powerful man.
Dude, that's kind of wrapping it up. We got your URLs and stuff, so if you want to box with him, forget about it. But we've got the Lovers Lead, Dog Lovers Lead,
Lovers League,
and then
slangclothing.com
slangclothing.com.
and abspack.com.
Okay, cool. And for any of our listeners, we're gonna put a link on the page to go to iTunes, because if we get some comments on there, we'll be up through the rankings, and we're getting more iTunes downloads and videos. We're getting thousands of people there. So
yeah, guys, if you listen to the show on iTunes, please just click and review the show. Like 2 sentences will help us. The more reviews we get, as Brian said, the higher we get rated. The higher we get rated, the more people watch the show, which means the more likely Brian and I are to keep doing this.
yes. Well said.
So-
And I just want to give a shout out to 2 of our fans, Kevin Borland and Tommy James. You're putting our comments on our page, and it's good, man. We love it. Lots of positivity. So, Clay, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, Clay.
I really appreciate you having me. I feel humbled and fantastic being in your presence.
It's cool. It's a bit therapeutic, isn't
No,
it?
it's good. I watch it. I watch it last week. The guy last time, mate, he was a little bit too much for me. He's so clever, man.
The Dimitar, yeah, he's
Yeah,
a smart
whoa.
kid.
Smart cat.
He's
yeah.
a smart cat, yeah. I know. Anyways, until then,
It's about the journey.
all right, guys, take care.
God bless you all.